Welcome back to Small Changes, Big Shifts, Building Rhythm and Resilience with Gratitude. Today is a fun day. I'm joined by my longtime friend, Cindy Currie. I would say that she's probably my oldest friend in Kansas City, besides Linda Finkston, who you guys are going to get a chance to meet. And then she introduced me to Jannie, Cubbage, and we've had such a fun time together. So when I was doing this 40 Days of Gratitude, ladies, I wanted to get the opinions and the thoughts of people that I really valued. And so I'm having this gratitude conversation with you. But as I was going through my buckets, we all have buckets, right? We have our family bucket, we have our personal friend bucket, we have our work bucket, we have our life bucket, whatever. We have different buckets. Of course, you guys fit in a couple of them, but I wanted to come to you and say, thanks for joining me today. Jannie, I'm gonna out you here. I'm gonna break HIPAA. Is that okay?
Sure.
Jannie, I started seeing you when I was in chiropractic school. I think you've been my most consistent patient in my 29 years, almost 29 years of practicing. Is that crazy?
Yeah, and I'm, standing upright and proof to show that what you do works.
That's crazy. I always want to go back and I have the privilege of having some interns from the chiropractic colleges join me, and sometimes like, oh, I should go back and call my people I saw the first couple of years and say, come in, let me give you a real adjustment. Anyhow, Jannie, I want someone to say I'm grateful for you. And Jannie, tell me a little bit, what does the word gratitude mean to you?
Well, I've definitely spent some time thinking about that in preparation for visiting with you today. And I struggled a lot with the difference between gratitude and thankfulness. But I really decided that I don't have to struggle. They really, to me, are one and the same. So it means being aware of and appreciative of what we have and who we have in our lives. And I'm truly grateful for a lot of things that I have in my life.
It's interesting when I have had probably one very significant move in my life that meant a lot to me. I happened to get a dream home way too young and moved from that. But as I was leaving that house, what I did is I thought about memories, and the memories all had to do with people. And so it was such a great gift to realize that it's not the stuff you have, it's the people you have. And so I'm celebrating you guys today. I'm celebrating the word gratitude, but most of all, I'm really celebrating you. And Cindy, how do I not say it? I don't think I would be anywhere near as successful without your believing eyes when I first started practicing, encouraging me, and really just telling me I could do it. And then supporting so much of the vision that what is known now today is your wellness connection. So thank you for joining me today. What does the word gratitude mean to you?
Well, first of all, I want to say to you, it's great to be here. And I want to say how you have implemented the vision that you talked about all those many years ago. So way to go. And not to be redundant, but we're very grateful for you. So I just want to start off by saying that. And as far as what gratitude means to me, it's very similar to what Jannie said. It's really a heartfelt way of looking at the world where you're appreciative of the people, the places, the things that happen to you. You're thankful for those. I think it's just an overall way of being.
Well, some people may be wondering now, why are you pairing people together? And you guys may be not wondering that because So Jannie, I met you because of Cindy from DST, and what people may or may not know, what happens when you are in my business, if you see somebody, typically you end up seeing their friends, family, their coworkers. And because of what Cindy Currie started, DST for many years was one of the companies that I saw a lot of people from, and really probably helped me succeed in those first few years. And Jannie, like I said, for whatever reason, she encouraged you to come see me at Cleveland Chiropractic College. Do you remember that?
Oh, I totally remember that. She encouraged me because I couldn't stand upright. So that's a tribute to you now. Like I say, I can stand upright now. And I had some sort of acute issue at that, time, and Cindy and I were working together, and she knew exactly where to send me. And as they say, the rest is history.
But you went to it's kind of like going to get the person to cut your hair.
Yeah.
That is a learning. I have to tell you, I am so grateful you let me learn on you.
I actually feel like I was in a small, dark room, maybe. I don't even know how much equipment was in there. But at that point, I was willing and grateful to have somebody who could help me out.
Well,
and you've been that person for, like you said, almost going on 30 years for me of regular wellness checks with you.
Wow, it's been fun. I want you to know I don't take it lightly that you trust me with your well-being and your family. I want you to know that I don't take that lightly. So I'm curious with having this conversation about gratitude. Cindy, can you think about a time in your under 20s, 20 and under? I know it's been maybe 2 days ago. I want you to think about a time where somebody showed you that you witnessed gratitude. Because part of this whole experience is to get people to think about gratitude in their own life. Because the way we shift what's happening, we did the kindness series. And as people have heard me say that people kept writing me and saying, would you continue this for 365 days? I'm like, oh, no, but I'm going to go into a gratitude. And it really helped me tee up for my 20,000 day that's coming up. So Cindy, the question to you is can you remember a time under 20 where you witnessed gratitude?
Yes. And, growing up on a farm, my dad was a farmer. And I think when I think about as a child, I witnessed gratitude all the time because as a farmer, he experienced crops getting hailed out. We had floods, we had tornadoes. And at the end of it all, my dad was always grateful. The cup was always half full for him. It was the way he lived his life. He was always happy. And when something bad would happen, he'd say, yeah, well, we still have these other things. And he was always thankful. So I think he really taught me a lot about gratitude during those years.
Jannie, how about you? Same question to you.
So I can barely remember yesterday. So going back to before my 20s is a bit of a challenge. But I would say that just my overall upbringing, I do recall that as kids, my mom would take my brother and me and we would go deliver food to needy families. I think that was just kind of a way to help us see the luck, I guess, that we had, or the goodness that was in our lives and that we should share it. Something else that sticks strongly with me, I was raised Jewish, and a big part of Judaism is a phrase tikkun olam, which means repairing the world. And so I think when you look at things that way, it may not necessarily bring me into gratitude always for what I have, but it drives me in a way to bring goodness, I guess, to others. So kinda, I don't know.
Well, I've not asked this question yet in the half a dozen or dozen interviews I've done so far. Jannie, you mentioned that you were a little anxious about this conversation and you probably were thinking about it. And I'm curious, I think that anytime we start thinking about stuff, it brings up stuff for us, good, bad, and indifferent. Thinking about the word gratitude, was there any surprise that came up as you were prepping for our conversation today? Since I didn't give you a lot of warning about what we're going to talk about.
Well, for me, one thing that I've thought about a lot and that you've put words to is that LTRs, so lifetime relationships. And I think about that a lot because not to the extent that you have, but I also have many different groups, I think, that fill me with lifetime relationships and gratitude for those. So I did especially stop and think about clearly my DST days that started in 1985. I have deep and meaningful ongoing relationships with people from there. I spent a few years working at the Federal Reserve Bank, and for that actually just 1 year. And in that period of time, I have maintained a relationship with the women that I met there since 1990. And one of my favorite LTRs is what I affectionately refer to as my high school friends group, which really actually includes many from kindergarten. Mm-hmm. So all those things make me very grateful because I get different, input and support and friendship, all kinds of things from those different groups.
It's interesting talking about LTRs and Jannie, you may not know this about me. I moved every 2 years until I really moved to Kansas City. And I moved quite a bit here initially, but I actually until the age of 12, we moved different cities. And so I do have a family. There's one family that I can tell you that's been in my life, and we've been apart, and we've recently we're back together. So I don't have those kindergarten friends. I have some friends from 6th grade that some of you guys will get to meet. But when you go back, that's such a gift. Isn't it a gift for people that can tell you they remember your story? Cindy, do you remember anybody, but do you remember anything back about those years, about your high school friends or grade school friends?
Yes, I do. I'm not as close to them, as I am to those that I have met from college, but because of going back to, I still have family on the farm. When I go back there are still people that I went to grade school with and high school with that are in that area. And thanks to Facebook, we are able to stay in touch now, because I can honestly say I've reconnected with people that I haven't, talked to for years, just because of that social tool. So yes, I do think, and with the advent of Facebook, I have thought about those people and followed their lives more closely. And as Jannie said, as preparing for this, become more reflective on just the role that those friends played as we were working through issues in grade school, whatever those issues might have been back then, in high school, et cetera.
And I think for me, I went away to college and I came back to Kansas City. And when I went away, nobody from University of Michigan joined me back here in Kansas City. So my college relationships really aren't the lasting relationships. It's been either, early on in my life that reconnected when I came back after college, or through work and volunteering.
Cindy, I'm going to come to you now, and you were in a very big role at DST. And when you think about that journey, what advice would you give to people right now, having lived your professional career, and now you're in a different season of volunteerism and, playing golf or whatever you're going to do there in Palm Springs, just surprising you, and that beautiful pool you have. But what kind of wisdom would you share with people, just kind of life, if you were going to write Cindy Currie's 5 life lessons, any idea what they would be?
Oh, wow. That's a big question, but let me throw some thoughts out there. In preparing for this, I was thinking along the way of, early in my life, I had somebody that believed in me, that I could accomplish things. So as you're in your working career, I think it's good to give back to others, either people that you work with or people that report to you, and show that you believe in them and that they can accomplish things. I also focused outward as far as accomplishments at work, as far as what did the company want to accomplish, what did the people want to accomplish, and then if you focus on the people, they of course are the company, and they are the ones that do the work. So it was very much an outward focus, at the same time knowing that you have to take care of yourself, and with your health, with all the other well-being. And I think that every day before I went to work, I would plan the day mentally. What kind of outcomes did I want to achieve that day, with the people and for the company, and just kind of focused on the outcome and work towards those goals. But it takes relationships, as Jannie said, I think are key in being able to survive in any working environment. You have to have support. You have to have people that you lean on for advice.
Well, as I mentioned in the opening, that you've been a big believing eyes for me. My friend Sonia, she coined the word about 20 years ago for me, is we all need people who can be a believing eyes, and we can't believe in ourselves. I want to tell you totally transparently, some days I'm wondering, what the F am I doing? Like in this 40 days campaign, what are you thinking about? Why didn't you just go play pickleball or something? So I want to tell you that there's been people that have been my believing eyes, and I would put you right up there in that top 5 for me. I want you to know that. Jannie, I'm coming to you and thinking about, I know you're at Blue Valley School District now, and God love our teachers, our educators, administration, as people are going through a really shifting time right now. I was talking to a leader at a school district recently, and they were talking about someone saying, we don't care about that. We just care about our safety or something like that. And, you know, what did they say? The saying I said to her, so don't let the negative few affect the positive many. But the question to you is what you're watching and witnessing with a front seat view at some level to schools right now. What advice or wisdom would you share with us as community citizens, as parents, as grandparents?
My biggest advice right now would be to live your life with grace. I unfortunately have experienced some unpleasant times during this coronavirus and the attitudes of people. Many times it feels like people are very being very selfish, self-centered. And I know that the bottom line is they think, and I'm referring mostly to parents probably at this point, is that the actions they're taking and the words they're using are to benefit their own children, which I clearly understand as a parent as well. We are our children's advocates. However, being on the inside, as you say, not as an educator, but just as an administrative assistant, I do talk to a lot of people, and I have very close connections with our principals and district administration. And it's been absolutely amazing to see the work that has come out of our staff. The pivot, you know, that's the buzzword for 2020. And the feeling that I have when I hear the negativity is just so concerning to me, and knowing what work has gone into it. And I mean, I read an article this morning about the COVID generation and the slide and all the things that are happening to our students right now. And it is real. I feel it. We're all feeling it. You know, even though I'm not a student, and thankfully my kids are grown and not in school, and I'm not having to juggle work and home. But man, if you can just give grace, patience, do the best you can with what we have, and be thankful. Like Cindy said, even, you know, I mean, just technology and looking outward. And I mean, what people have been able to do. If this were, you know, 10 years ago, even, would there have been such a pivot to online school and Zoom conferences and things like that? So just keep doing the best you can.
What does Dory say? Keep swimming.
Yes, keep swimming.
Keep swimming. There's two words that happen in my house a lot because I'm a little bit of a, oh gosh, what would be the word? Dog on a bone. You know, it says keep swimming. And then the big one is let it go. Let it go, Frozen. That's what happens because sometimes I just get in a rut. And the way I get out of that rut is with kindness and gratitude. So
Let it go is not something I'm very good at. I think Cindy could probably attest to that, even all these years later, remembering me at DST. But that is a very good thing to try to focus on. And that takes a little, you know, self work, which, you know, I'm not as good at that as you. I'm learning from you, but it's a constant work in progress.
You and I think about starting to wrap up our conversation. I wanted to ask you, how has gratitude changed for you in 2020? That could be a question, or the question could be, can you share a story of a grateful experience in this year in 2020 with our listeners? Jannie, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. For me, as challenging as 2020 has been, one thing that I've really taken out of this year, and of course, it's a person I met who actually knows you, Michelle. But it's Jennifer Robinson, and she started a movement called Stand on Schweitzer. She met at 24 weeks every Sunday for 24 weeks. I was not as good and consistent, but her mission was to show that all people have rights to exist, be good to people, that we had the sign there from you. Kindness. It was all about equal justice and, you know, anti-racism. So I met Jennifer and a lot of wonderful people through that movement. And I think because of it being 2020 and things slowing down a little bit, I gave myself permission, and also some stress about needing to be there, but to take an hour every Sunday, to as many as I could, and be part of the movement. And the good part about that, besides just meeting these wonderful people and standing up for something that I believe in very strongly, is when I could, I also walked the 3.5 miles to the site. So I was doing good for myself physically, and then for myself emotionally, by surrounding myself with people who had common beliefs and for a good cause.
Well, it sounds like there's a saying, if you're not willing to change what you're doing, then what is Brene Brown says something about don't listen to people that aren't in the arena. So you got in the arena.
I was in the arena.
Got in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy, can tell me an instance where you have witnessed gratitude in 2020. That's the question I want to share with you.
Gratitude in 2020. Gosh, it's hard to pick just one situation, because 2020 has been a year of things happening that you never thought you'd see happening in our lifetime. I think we've gone around with or at least I have, a false sense of security that our lives couldn't change this dramatically this quick. You think this would never happen to me. And, through my work at the horse rescue and with all the volunteers, I have seen and exposed to the teachers what they've gone through, what Jannie said. I've been exposed to their kids who are now learning at home. I've been exposed to people that have lost their health insurance, people that have lost their jobs. So this is hard for me to talk about without tearing up, because there's so many challenging situations that, in small ways, just what I have witnessed at the rescue is a group of people being aware of the challenges that others are having and coming together and helping provide meals for maybe those that are taking time to volunteer, even though they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. I've seen people who stay-at-home moms that'll say, okay, I'll take your kids at my house for the at-home learning. They're all trying to make the best of the situation. So I've witnessed gratitude just everywhere I've looked out there. And I really am thankful for being exposed to all of that, because it's made 2020 a much more insightful year than it would have been if I hadn't been involved there.
It makes me think of did you ever see the Mr. Rogers movie? Right. No. Look for the helpers. They're everywhere. Look for the helpers. And so that's kind of this with gratitude series is I want to tell you, I suck my thumb a lot. Well, not a lot, enough. How about that? Mm-hmm. The way I shift out of that is I go to gratitude or kindness. I get outside of myself and start looking outward and think about all the people. I think about people that when I was little, where I didn't have it great. I mean, I have it great right now. If this is as good as my life ever got, it is way better than I ever thought it was going to be. And it's because of people like you that I'm having a phenomenal life, for believing in me for 29 plus years, Jannie, to show up month after month to this young 25-year-old. Remember, I was 25 years old when you met me. How crazy is that? And Cindy, and for you just helping me believe in my dreams and that I could do it. I've known you my whole professional career, and just the words of hope that you have no idea of the days of you pouring and believing me that helped me show up, and how it helped me help somebody. So I'm saying thank you to both of you. I've got two final questions. One's kind of a quick rapid fire. What wisdom would you share with people to round out 2020? What are you doing to round out 2020 to be a fruitful year, Jannie?
I'm trying to just continue focusing on the positive, being thankful for what I do have, my family, my health, my friends, my relationships, my job, all the things that are good. And now looking forward to a vaccine coming soon, and hopefully just a brighter 2021 where we can all get back to not forgetting the things that we learned from this year, just carrying forward, but in a brighter, happier way.
Cindy?
Well, before I answer
I'm going to call you Currie.
I know. Thanks for not calling me Currie. Usually she calls me Currie, so this is nice. So, but before I answer the question, I just want to once again say how remarkable it is, everything you've accomplished in the time that I have known you. And I think I speak for many people when we talk about how grateful we are that you have implemented your vision, because you've helped so many people. I mean, it's just exponential, the impact that you've had on people. So I just want to take a moment and recognize that and say thank you.
I echo that too, Cindy. Thank you for bringing that again to the forefront.
Okay, as far as thoughts about how to finish 2020, I brought a prop today that I want to use. It's my Pooh Bear. You know, I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. Anybody that knows me know that I've had a Pooh Bear forever. And so I think what I'd say to people for the rest of 2020, and it kind of goes around practicing gratefulness. And this is a quote. This is a quote from Winnie the Pooh saying, "If you love what you have everything that you need." So I just tell everybody, love what you have and be hopeful.
I'm going to add love who you have. And hopefully through this exercise of tuning in and hearing this 40 days of gratitude, that you are thinking about not the stuff, but the people, the LTRs in your life. Jannie, Cindy did hers 2 in 1. You got a quote you want to share?
No, I come to you for my quotes, Michelle. I have so many quote cards around my house, my desk at work, my coworkers, they all know about you. So I'm waiting for you to throw out that perfect quote for today.
Well, here's the quote that I picked for both of you. And I'm going to get through it without crying, I think. It's by Meister Eckhart. "If the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. Thank you for your believing eyes. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for everything you've done to help me spread the good." All right. I love you, gals. Thanks for joining me today on Small Changes, Big Shifts.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.